All right, so here we are. It's late enough, so let's get started. The story is, I see you printed it out, good. So the story is that I spent some time today trying to get to the bottom of the issues with the bottle caps and cans also. So I'm going to give you what I found out. Can't say figured everything out, but a few things. So first of all, I mentioned that Reb Shlomo Zalman was lenient, and I had not looked it up. So I did look it up, and it is printed in his name in the Shmir Shabbos Hilchos, which his student authored and quotes him very often there. So Reb Shlomo Zalman basically says he doesn't go as far as Reb Moshe. Again, just to review, Reb Moshe holds that in theory the throwaway containers are considered only like the peels. And therefore, that would be very lenient because it has no din of a keli, neither in terms of binyan or in terms of makabeh patish. That you throw away, correct? And you use it once and you throw it away. And you're taka planning to throw it away, both.
And if you don't throw it away?
No, if you don't throw it away, it's a problem. It has to be that people generally throw it away and you are personally throwing it away. It has to
and
be
if you plan not to throw, you're going to use it 2 or 3 times?
No good. Can't you?
Can,
some say you have to toggle it, yeah. If it's metal, yeah. So the point is, his svara, Shlomo Zalman's svara, is different than Reb Moshe. He says that the fact that you're going to throw it away in and of itself makes it a binyan garua. It becomes a binyan garua. Now, this is a different vort than Reb Moshe. Reb Moshe says it's not a binyan b'chlal, it's not a keli b'chlal, it's a klipa. It's like a klipas peri. He says it's a binyan garua, which is usually used in the context of the physical properties of the thing. But he holds no, because it's in people's minds, it's going to be thrown out. So people don't consider it an important keli. And that's enough to make it a binyan garua. That's a chiddush, which is a little bit more strict than Reb Moshe, because you still have to worry about makabeh patish, according to him. You don't have to worry about binyan. It's a binyan garua. But just like we learned with mustaki, right, with the barrel that was broken up and put back together again, you still have to worry about not making a Pesach Noah. You still can't make a nice opening. So that's something that's different. So also, we discussed the Chazon Ish, and I was saying that I wasn't so sure about opening it, from the bottom, from the top, 2 openings, what he's matter exactly. So the Chazon Ish himself doesn't mention anything about 2 openings. It's based on the Chazon Ish that he says that a can that is soldered closed, that is becomes like a rock, that's the basis for the heter, to be able to open it up in such a way that's not a keli. He himself doesn't say it. He himself says that when the factory closes it up, it becomes a non-keli. And then when you open it up, you are creating a keli.
One side. It's still in a way closed, but you in a way like kind of destroyed it because now it's everything gonna leak.
You could take things out from there.
Not yet.
Why not?
You just make a hole with a knife.
Oh, not big enough to take things out?
Yeah.
Oh, that we're going to
just
discuss.
Liquid, and then you open it. So basically, you're taking out of solid keli.
All right, that we're going to discuss. That we're going to discuss. So we'll discuss that in a minute. But
there are some things that are simply liquid.
Right. That's not going to help you for that. If it's a liquid, if it's a keli to hold liquids, it's not going to help you for that. Right. Right. Yeah. No, I understand that. I'll mention something about that in a minute. But what he says is that if you open it, even if you make a not nice opening, it's still making a keli, because the fact is it was not a functional keli. You couldn't use it for anything. Now you can use it. So he considers that opening like a Pesach no, in terms of it enabling the keli to be a usable item. So that seems like a big chumrah. And he says, well, what about the fact that you're going to throw it out? So he says two things. First of all, not everybody throws it out. Some people keep it. And second of all, he says, the Chazon Ish. Second of all, he says that you're going to keep the stuff in it until you're finished. I mean, whatever it is, the sardines or the tuna, I mean, until you're finished, you're going to keep it. So even if you throw it out afterwards, at least for however long it takes to finish it, you're still going to... Oh, he doesn't address that. Doesn't talk about that. Okay, so based on this is where other Mefarshim come later and try to suggest the coolest that we mentioned about maybe opening two. So here's what the Minchas Yitzchak says. The Minchas Yitzchak says that first of all, if the derech is that nobody uses it, that actually nobody uses it, it's not that some people do, some people don't, nobody uses it, a can or anything, tuna cans, although he does point out that some Talmidei Chachamim save the cans and they use it for boiling their eggs, so that in case there's blood in the eggs, you won't have to kasher the pot. Okay? I haven't met those Talmidei Chachamim yet. Maybe they're only in Israel. Maybe he was living in Manchester then, but I don't know. But anyway, nowadays a lot of the eggs are not even real blood. It's all battery eggs, made in factories. So whatever. Lamaisa, he says that some people still use those cans, but he says in the theory, if nobody uses the cans, and you would throw it out immediately, in other words, you would empty the stuff and throw it out right away. So maybe the Chazon Ish would agree that it's not making a keli, because it's not, nobody uses it and you're not using it.
Where exactly Chazon Ish?
Where did he write it? Orach Chaim, Siman Nun Aleph, Sifkat Yud Aleph. I sent it out in the printout. And another thing he says, and this is where the two holes comes in. He says, open it on the bottom with a hole that's only enough to ruin it, but not enough to use it. Meaning to say that maybe the liquids will come out, but the solids, which is what you need to get out, can't come out. But Lamaisa, when you open it up on the top, you'll be able to get the solids out, but nobody's going to save such a can that has a hole in the bottom of it. People just don't save such cans. Even people who would...
This is like a tuna can.
Right. Right. So that's his chiddush. Correct. What do you say, Yassi?
This is like a can of tuna.
Yeah. Or a tomato sauce, anything like that.
I have a question that's related to this. It came up actually last week. You're talking about the intention that you have with it.
Yeah.
My sister had two cans of Coke Zero, which were empty. They were empty before Shabbos. And as Shabbos was coming in, she asked if I could put them in the rubbish for her. She said that she couldn't because she'd already lit. I said, well, what's the problem? The cans aren't muktzah. So she said, because in her mind, they were already rubbish. She had no use for them. Is that how muktzah works? I thought that if something had a theoretical, you actually had to have it seriously excluded from your mind, or you had to not be able to, as opposed to it was in your rubbish bin and you no longer wanted it.
It's been a few years since I learned muktzah with last group, but there is a concept that when you throw out certain items, they become muktzah. Because by now, not just in your mind, just by her thinking she's going to throw it out, not. But if she would have actually thrown it out into the garbage, then there is basis to say that once you throw something out, you've declared it to be basically a useless item, and therefore muktzah. We do have that. I don't know if it would apply to a real keli, like a person who just decides to throw out a bowl, I don't think it would apply to that because that's not really subjective. That's really objective. But
So we're saying here, yeah. So I think I recall you saying a keli doesn't become muktzah.
Right, but
And
some people save and some people don't. I think it's talking about, in Shinches, I think it's talking about small rags. That some people save them and some people don't. So once the person throws it out, the owner makes it muktzah, makes it a non-keli essentially by throwing it out. So then it becomes muktzah. So I don't think it would be muktzah just by her thinking it.
No one uses.
So she had put it in her rubbish bin upstairs. So it had been in her personal rubbish bin.
Oh, so that could be that it is muktzah for her. But if it's muktzah for her, it's muktzah for you too. Sorry.
No. So she had lit and
you
I had
hadn't lit yet. I see. Okay, I get it. But 1 second. But Rafael is pointing out that if nobody uses such cans, so based on the heter of Reb Shlomo Zalman and Menches Yitzchak and Moshe, all the matirim to open the cans because they're not a keli would have to be machmer and say that they're not a keli, so they're muktzah. I mean, you can have both ways.
That's why I was asking now.
Actually, I'm not taking it back. Shem Zalman says a kli garua. Kli garua, okay. Or Moshe says that it's not a keli at all. It's like a klipa. But a kli
what does kli garua mean again?
Inferior keli.
Oh, right. Okay.
Inferior keli. It just reminds me of a little discussion that somebody overheard once, and that was by there was some kind of simcha, and they gave a Rav or a Sheshiva, I don't even remember who it was, they gave him to make Kiddush on a plastic cup. So he said, Manushach, because at that simcha they had all kinds of trays, metal trays that they were eating the food in. So he said, Manushach, if this is a cup, then those metal trays need to be toiveled. If it's not a cup because it's throwaway, okay. I mean, if the metal cups don't have to be toiveled because it's throwaway, then this is not a cup. I can't make Kiddush. Interesting.
Regarding the Moshe was saying that one big cans like a shell. In general, the shell, after you kill it, you can't muktzah, especially if it's not.
That's what I'm saying. So it could be that according to him it is muktzah regardless of you throwing it out or not.
So it's not so simple. So I should have just said yes, I'm going to do that, and it's probably going to be muktzah one way or another.
Certainly, she has a point, especially if she already threw it out. I think she has a point. Yes.
Excellent. Okay. Good. It just came up on Shabbos, and I thought, wow, this is topical.
Yeah. We get to practice what we learn every Shabbos.
And there are ramifications because when we say that something is or isn't a keli for one purpose, it is or isn't for another purpose.
So it would seem. So it's interesting, by the way, that Reb Moshe was matter to make Kiddush on a throwaway cup. But it's not a stira, because a throwaway cup actually doesn't hold anything. It's not like the containers of the kalim that they are made in the factory to hold their contents and then you throw them out. So they're nullified to their contents. When you're talking about a plastic cup, it was made to hold whatever you decide to put in it. Even if it's only a one-time use, it's not holding anything now, so it's not secondary to anything. You understand? It wasn't made for one specific. The grape juice that you're pouring into it, it wasn't made for that. It was made for whatever. So different. It's not the same. I think he says a Baal Nefesh won't, but Meikar Din he says it's mutter.
Rav Moshe says this?
No, he says Meikar Din it's mutter. Rav Moshe says it, yeah. And I have never ever come across anybody who says that 2 cups helps. Although everybody does it. 2 cups. Oh, 2 cups, mamish.
That's the shame that it's got to be covered Shabbos, or where does it come from? That you need something to hold the wine?
No, you need a cup. You need a keli. You can't make Kiddush if you have.
Right.
You can't just. I'm just saying you need a
It's like
keli.
logical thing.
No, that's a halacha. You need a. I mean, you can't even use a broken cup, by the way. That's a din. And Vasor Dvorim, a kosher bracha needs 10 things. One of them is that it can't be a broken cup. It has to be an actual keli. That's in Shulchan Aruch, not even in Hilchos Kiddush, in Hilchos Berachos and Mazon. It says 10 things about a kosher bracha. So I'm saying, so the shaila is a throwaway cup considered a cup? That's really the shaila. Is it considered a keli?
When they talk about the two cups, I think they refer that one cup doesn't have much value. Therefore, by putting one inside the other, you increase the value, and therefore it becomes.
Very schwach.
I think it's just for Kavod Shabbos. During the week, you
In Yiddish, it's called.
One for Shomer, one for Zocher.
You ever heard that before?
Yes.
In Hebrew, it's called a svaras keres. You know, you just. I've never seen a mocker.
No, but it's, if it's mutter, if it's allowed to be used, so adding another cup just gives it a kavod for Shabbos. You use one of these cups.
Is that kavod? I mean, 2 plastic cups. Kavod Shabbos is a kiddush cup. That's kavod.
We're obviously talking about
I understand, but why does a second cup make it more honorable? Does it look more honorable? Who says it's more honorable? I don't believe in that. I mean, Kabbalah, I don't know Kabbalah, so I'm saying maybe I'll pick Kabbalah as a thing of 2 yarmulkes, but it certainly doesn't look more honorable to wear 2 yarmulkes. Certainly not a napkin under a yarmulke. 2 gartels? What's 2 gartels about?
Oh, it tastes better than one.
What?
I saw someone last week that had 3 head covering. I said to him, I know some people have 2. What's the 3? This is my Mishigas. At least he knew it was his.
No, I'm not saying it's a mishagas to have 2.
No, but that's 3.
Al pi Kabbalah is one thing, but al pi Nigla, it's not more honorable.
Why is it more honorable to have 2 cups?
Why isn't it?
Why? I think it's an opinion, not a fact. It's not more honorable. In your opinion, you don't care about having 1 or 2. If it's like
In whose eyes is it more honorable? I'm just trying to understand.
2 of the cups, meaning during the week you have 1 cup. Now you add 1 inside the next for it to be like more of a goblet, more of a heavier, more of a
Why not go to 3 then?
quality.
I'm just saying, if you're wearing 2 shirts, does it look more honorable? I mean, the second shirt doesn't accomplish anything. What is the second cup accomplishing? A heavier cup is a nicer object, but to have 2 of the same object, it doesn't. I don't know.
Doesn't hurt.
I'm not saying it hurts. I'm just saying it's, as far as I know, it is something that somebody cooked up once
It's
and
not
it caught on somehow. Anyway, so the Minchas Yitzchak has those 2 heterim within the Chazon Ish, which is nice. That maybe if you empty it out right away, and nobody uses them a second time, and or to make a small opening and then a large opening. So what I had some trouble with, which I said I would find out, I had trouble finding out what is the heter of Reb Shlomo Zalman to do the plastic, to open the plastic bottle caps that have a ring around them. And what was bothering me about that is, why is it not makeh b'patish? I understand, binyan garua, I understand. It's not much of a change. You could use it before, and it's already a keli, that I understand. And by the way, I heard from 2 different Rabbanim that I spoke to today, Rabbi Vosner and Rabbi Heller. They both repeated what I think Yossi said, the idea that the difference between the plastic and the metal is that the plastic is already formed as a cap, and then they put it on. Whereas the metal is just a sheet which they press down, they clamp down on top. So it never had a status as a keli, never had that form until it got there, and it wasn't ever removed from there, so it never really had that shape until you remove it. Okay,
So both of them practically have no problem with it.
I'm sorry?
So both of them practically have no problem with it.
Both of whom?
Rav Vosner and Rav Heller.
No, they were. I asked them what's the reason for Reb Shlomo Zalman's ruling. They didn't tell me if they passed it like that. They were explaining that. They both mentioned that there are machmirim, but they mentioned the difference, why metal and plastic are different. But in terms of why it's not makeh b'patish, about plastic bottles with a cap, because I asked, even if it's a usable keli, but if it's not 100% usable, it's still makeh b'patish. Like, for example, an actual keli that is being now formed in the under the anvil with an actual patish. Until the last hammer blow, it's makeh b'patish. Now, before the last hammer blow, it's a little bit crooked. Doesn't mean you can't use it, just a little bit crooked. That's makeh b'patish. And we had in Shin Beis also, when you have a garment that has some leftover kismin in it, some splinters, and you shake them out on Shabbos, that's makeh b'patish. Shaking out splinters? You could have used it with the splinters. Okay, but you never finished it. And now you finish it, makeh b'patish. Yes?
In a way, it's a kli gomer before they fill it up.
It's a kli gomer, but it's difficult to use. It is a kli gomer.
It was open, they fill it up, and then it closed. So you had a time.
No, not the bottle. The bottle is a kli. I'm talking about the cap. The cap had a ring around it. Has a ring around it until you break it off. So as long as it has a ring, it's difficult to use. And removing the ring makes it easier to use. Anyway, I honestly didn't get a clear answer from them, but they both basically said that it could be used and it's not such a difference. And Rabbi Vosner pointed to a halacha in Hilchos Yantif, where it talks about a skewer that is bent as opposed to broken, and bent, since it could be used, even if you bend it back, it's not considered like a new keli.
Basically, all plastic.
The chiddush of the Megufa is that even if I understand, but that's when the Megufa is connected to the barrel, you can break that connection. But here, the ring is not what's connecting it to the bottle. The ring is connected to the cap. You understand? You're breaking off part of the cap. You understand what I'm saying? It's like breaking off part of the Megufa. It's not like breaking the connection between the two.
You know it's going to be separate exactly over there.
I understand. So you're still doing that separation. Anyway.
One second.
Yeah.
You know the tea bags that they have like this where you have to open it?
Yeah.
It's the same concept. You're ripping it exactly where they want you to open it. Over there you have to have a little bit force, and by your cup you have to have extra force to open it. They made it in a way that's going to be kind of...
That little piece of paper at the end of the tea bag is not a keli. That's a keli? You're asking about machatach? That's a separate shayla. That's a separate shayla. I didn't even go into that. Machatach is another shayla. It's so pashut that it's not a problem? Is it clear to you that it's not a problem? How do you know?
Did I say it's not a problem?
So?
I just say the same way, but...
What's the same way? Who said it's mutter? Who said it's mutter? Who said it's mutter to break off those squares of the tea bags? Why is it not machatach? Maybe it is. You're getting a perfect square, cutting in a perfect way. I don't know. Why? It says you're not supposed to open up the tissue. You know what I mean? Where they have the same thing. It's already, it's easy to do. They make it easy for you. No, but when you break it, first of all, you're making an opening. And second of all, they bring that it's machatach because you are cutting it just the right size. They helped you. Okay, they helped you, but you're still doing it. I'm not even sure about the machatach question. I don't know. I didn't even go into that aspect of it. Anyway, the kitzer, I'm going to share the next thing, even though Rabbi Heller said it's totally not halachically relevant.
I have a quick question on
Yes.
your sheet. It says the Alter Rebbe says it's simply a weak kli. What is that referring to?
That's referring to the chisolis shel tamorim, the baskets that held the figs and dates in them. Reb Moshe says that it's like the peel of the keli. The peel of the food, and that's why it's mutter. And according to him, it's not about the strength of it. It's the fact that you throw it away makes it into a non-keli.
Okay.
That was the Moshe's Chiddush. The Alter Rebbe, the way he interprets the understanding of those baskets is that they're simply weak kelim. It's not the fact that you're going to throw it away in and of itself makes it into a non-keli.
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm. So I call it by Groner because I wanted to get some firsthand accounts of what happened at the Farbrengens when the bottles weren't open. Because I said yesterday, sometimes they would open the bottles of the Farbrengens, even though generally they never wanted them open beforehand. So I wanted to hear it from a Kli Rishon, as it's called, from a first source. So Rabbi Groner said that even though they generally opened the bottles beforehand, there were times that they were not opened beforehand. And he even remembers once or twice that the Rebbe himself opened the bottles.
Wow.
Oh, so I said, metal, like vodka? He said that's what they had. They had the vodka bottles. Anyway, so, I mean, that's a big chiddush. Even though there are mekilim, even with metal, there are mekilim. For example, Rabbi Yaakov Fisher from the Badat Zedek Haredis, I mentioned him a while back. I don't know his reasoning. I didn't get a chance to look it up. There are mekilim, but it's a big chiddush. So when I mentioned that to Rabbi Heller, he completely discounted it. Because he said, there's a klal in halacha. Nosya deloi ramya inish. A thing that a person doesn't pay attention to, he's not trusted about. We had it in Basa B'chalav, talking about a person who stirred a spoon and it was the wrong type of spoon, milchik, fleshik. So now you want to figure out how much did he stir and how much do you have to kasher. We don't believe him. He himself says, well, I know how much I stirred. It was this much. No, we don't believe him. I ate echad b'yisurin. Doesn't make a difference because he didn't pay attention to it. It's not that he's lying. It's that he didn't pay attention. And therefore, he thinks it was that, but it wasn't really that. So therefore, you have to do what the normal thing to do is. The normal thing is not actually the whole spoon. It's the round part of the spoon.
That's what I was just thinking.
So what he said was, Rabbi Groner wasn't looking at it from a halachic perspective. Like, let's see what the Rebbe does. Like, is it metal? Is it for sure not open? Is the Rebbe doing it in the normal way? You know what I mean? He didn't pay attention to these things. Afterwards, when people asked him, he said, yeah, I think that happened once or twice. Okay, fine.
I think there's video of these Farbrengens.
There was one Farbrengen where somebody actually had a he was recording it, and the Rebbe didn't start speaking. The Rebbe did not start speaking.
He didn't mention that the someone was recording.
Of course not. It was Shabbos. Somebody did it.
He didn't mention.
No, he just didn't speak. And somebody realized what was going on, and the whole thing was removed. Anyway.
So,
the rabbi said.
Yeah, and actually it goes together with what it says in the Gemara. Ein lemeid in halacha, loy mipi halacha v'loy mipi ma'isa. You can't learn a halacha from a halacha that is taught, because maybe he was giving a shir, but he wasn't saying it lamaisa. He was giving a shir, and you also can't learn it from a ma'isa, from something that happens, because you don't really know the details. There may be some missing information that you thought you saw and you didn't see, or vice versa, whatever. It has to be a halacha lamaisa. That means it has to be a halacha that was said lamaisa. That's what you can learn from.
The entire Gemara is like that. I once saw this rabbi who heard from this one do this.
So, I mean, we do have such cases. Rebbe Hitter Beis Shan. Rebbe was mater Beis Shan to not take Trumas and Meisers because he saw or he heard, I think he heard from somebody who saw Reb Meir eat from a vegetable without taking Trumas and Maasros from Beishan. Right, so Beishan is in Eretz Yisrael, but it was not conquered by Oile Bavel. And the Kedusha Shniya came only with Oile Bavel. So that was from a Maisa. But the Gemara goes through so many details, like a few pages of details before it allows that to be an acceptable proof. How do you know it wasn't this? How do you know it wasn't that? Maybe it was this, maybe it was that. And it was only after we mamish squared everything away that we come to that conclusion. But it's not a simple thing.
We can't do that here.
No, what he's saying is Milsid Laramya Inish. He wasn't paying attention at that time.
So I have something to query that.
Yeah.
So apparently, so if the Rebbe requested before generally that everything was opened,
Yep.
then it would be an interesting and noteworthy thing if it were not opened. So that would suggest that that anybody who worked with the Rebbe and knew how he operated would probably be very interested in that.
Right, but would he be interested in the details? Would he know the details? What is allowed? What isn't allowed? What kind of caps are allowed? How to open it? You understand? For example, another heter is Reb Shlomo Zalman actually says this. I don't know if he says it or it's based on I think he actually says it. I'm not 100% sure, but either way, it's brought down based on his reasoning that if you open it and throw out the cap or replace it with another cap, you know what I mean? You have a cap from your old bottle, you replace it. So then you have the following heter. This is based on Reb Shlomo Zalman. Reb Shlomo Zalman says that if you make a keli that you don't need and that you don't actually use, perhaps it's not considered a keli. He gives an example from Hilchos Lulav, where you have a hadas with red berries is possible because it looks like a spotted hadas, right? Different colored hadas. You can't take off the red berries on Yantif because you're creating a kosher hadas. But if you have other kosher hadasim, you don't need this one, then you're allowed to take it off. You're creating a kosher hadas, somebody could use it, you could use it, no, but you don't need it, so it's not considered a keli. So one second. So his point is, if you are creating a keli, which he says this is the whole opposite swara of what we were saying before about the plastic ones, but which this cap is not yet a keli, I guess if it's metal, going with that swara, that's not yet a keli. So if you're creating a keli for the first time and you don't need it, right, because you're throwing it out, you don't use it, so then maybe it's not even considered a keli. So again, that's another detail. Did they actually use the cap, or did they open it, or whoever it is opened it, and maybe they didn't use it? So there's a lot of details that a person may or may not have paid attention to.
Measurement, do we consider the keli?
No. We see even a toothpick can break off a little piece of sliver of wood to use as a toothpick.
Oh, but here's the keli that could be marked with something. No?
A keli al pi halacha doesn't have to contain something. Keli could be just any utensil that has a use, whether it contains or not. I mean, containers is a separate thing because shutei kli eitz is not makabel tuma and daraisa. So to be a keli for tuma, if it's wooden, it has to actually hold something. But for Shabbos purposes, it has nothing to do with that. It's just a usable utensil. Okay. Let me just look back at that sheet and see if there's anything else that
since we're talking about the toothpick, you said, I think we learned that we could use food as a toothpick. So if I had like a spaghetti noodle and I wanted to like break it in half and use that as a toothpick, is that okay on Shabbos?
some people
Raw
might not
spaghetti is
allow
muktzah.
raw spaghetti. Yeah.
What if you
Raw
like to eat
spaghetti
it?
is muktzah because it's not edible.
Some people like to eat it.
Really?
Yeah. I used to eat it with my kid when I was a kid, and my son eats it too.
Yeah, all kids eat it.
Wow, never tried it. Raw spaghetti. It's like
So what would be the din then?
if it's not muktzah, then there's no reason not to use it as a toothpick.
But could I
There's
break it?
no problem not to use it as a toothpick per se. Muktzah or not, I don't know, but there's no problem with using it as a toothpick.
Other than if I wanted to break it into a smaller piece, that would be okay.
If it's food, it's not a problem.
Okay.
If it's food.
I only got through half of last night's share. Did we do soft drink cans?
Did we do soft drink cans?
I went to a share about this a year ago,
Yes.
and it was very inconclusive, and it wasn't necessarily our shitter.
I don't know what Ashita is. I must be honest with you. But let's put it this way. If you go with Reb Moshe's general path that it is anything that's throwaway, so it doesn't have to get over keli, there's room for allowing it. Now, according to B'Shlomo Zalman, that throwaway things has a getter of a weak keli, so you still have a problem with the soft drink cans because when you open them up, it would seem like you're making a Pesach Noah. It would seem like you're making a nice opening. At the same time,
Even if it's a very small one at the top.
I'm talking about the regular opening. If you make a smaller one than usual, is that what you're saying?
So I understood that with something such as a can of tuna, if you open it only a small amount on top, as opposed to taking the whole top off, it's less of a problem.
That I don't know about. I haven't come across that concept.
I'll look it up. I think it might be in Shmir Shabbos.
What do you mean? Oh, you're talking about opening it like halfway and bending it open?
Yes.
Yeah, that's because it's not a usable keli. People don't use it because it's a jagged edge around the rim.
Okay.
That's what that's about. Opening a soda can a little bit of the way, I mean, maybe it's not a Pesach no, maybe. But on the other hand, and this is just something that somebody brought up yesterday, that maybe the soda cans are not as strong as other cans because the metal is very thin. Maybe they are considered a weak keli, even according to the Alter Rebbe. So I don't know. Another thing that I did not come to a conclusion about. I didn't find anything explicit about it. Is the cans that you can just peel off that come, with that easy pop top. Is that like a gufo or not? I didn't see anything about that. I'm not sure. Yes.
Cans of seltzer. Not the problem to use them all together, not even in Shabbos.
Why?
And the Mayim Shalan pretty much perfect.
Mayim Shalan?
Water that stays overnight in a metal keli. I think, I don't know if it applies to other things besides water.
Yes, it's water.
I mean, it's water with CO2.
I didn't say like other drinks, but that's specific,
So
You can't have water that's
that's what it says. It's some kind of bad spirit or something.
Mayim Shalan? Klima Techet?
Ma'im shalom b'klima teches is considered some kind of,
What?
I think it's mazikin.
Like a egg in the fridge or egg out?
Exactly, egg left overnight,
Same
like
type of
garlic, onion left overnight, same type of thing. So here's the thing: when it comes to all of these things, Rav Shlomo Zalman says we don't have to be machmer more than it actually says, because we don't understand them. So we keep what it says. We don't have to be extra machmer. Take, for example, dried garlic powder. It's overnight. What's the heter to use garlic powder?
Probably has some type of
You don't use garlic powder? Not only fresh garlic. Onion powder? Onion powder? No. Okay. Fine.
Because of that?
So Rabbi Vadia says that as long as there's any ingredient added,
Right, it says it's
so it becomes like it becomes something else. It's mostly garlic. It has a very small percentage of the garlic powder is basically garlic. It has a little bit of preservative in it. Okay, but it's not 100% garlic. So again, if it would be a halacha, like a strict halacha is one thing, but it's a segula. We keep what it says, but not anything extra. I mean, I'm not saying you can't. I'm just saying.
It's a segula or it's a health thing?
It says you don't have to keep beyond what it actually says. So you could say the same thing. It's not strictly water. It's water and CO2.
Aluminum's not really metal.
Why is it not really metal? Why not? Metal is metal. What's the difference? I'm sorry? Yossi?
I was asking, is it a segula or is it a health thing?
I think it has to do with some kind of mazikin issue. If I'm not mistaken, it's a mazikin issue. Which is, it's not a segula. It's the opposite of a segula. But I'm saying it's not a natural thing that we understand.
Okay, I heard that it was that when you see something like that, it refers to something like bacteria or something. It's not necessarily a spiritual thing, but it's like, you know, a small,
invisible.
Not, yeah. But that's what I heard.
Maybe that's a pshat. Could be.
Probably does. I mean, it does absorb it.
As in many things. I mean, sorry.
And you're not supposed to leave things in the can.
Okay. Shlomo Zalman says a similar thing about taking off two garments at once. So putting on, it says kashal shikha. What about taking off? Doesn't say. So you could say, well, stam, if putting it on is a problem, stam taking off is also a problem. But Shlomo Zalman says the same story. What it says, it says. What it doesn't say, it doesn't say. Anyway, so I think we pretty much covered that handout. The Til David, by the way, people asked me yesterday who he was. Reb David Ortenberg was the Rav in Berditchev. He passed away in 1910. Yesterday that the Berditchever stood up for him. That's not correct. It was the Ruzhiner who stood up for him. He was a chassid of the Ruzhiner Rebbe, and he became a Rav in Berditchev 40 years after the Berditchever Rebbe passed away. But in any case, he's big Talmud Chacham, and he was the one who explicitly says that opening cans is usher, but he is matter opening like cardboard boxes and paper. Chazon Ish I said already.
That's the way 19.
Yeah. Yeah, the cans were discovered, the idea of canning food was discovered in the early 1800s, and like 1812, 1813, and the British were using it, to feed their sailors around the world. It really caught on in America, I don't know about Russia, but in America it caught on by the Civil War, when they had to send rations to the soldiers. And that's from there it spread to household use as well. So it reached Russia also, evidently. Okay, so since I didn't get a chance to prepare we're going to do a little review of Shin Yud Gimel and Shin Yud Dalet. All right? Forgive me. I sent out this review sheet, and I'm just going to use it to go over the concepts. Feel free to ask or add. Okay, so what are some of the differences between Makeh B'Patish and Binyan? Let's do it in question and answer form. Differences between Makav Patash and Binyan.
You mean practical halachic differences?
Yeah. Or theoretical halachic differences. Yes.
Um,
Binyan Bekalim, correct, according to some, does not apply at all. Certainly, Makav Patash does apply. Yeah, go ahead.
where something's connected to the ground.
One is living, the other one is finishing completely.
Finishing, yes.
Less.
I'm sorry?
Less.
What do you mean?
Well, that-
What do you mean by that?
Finishing.
The final blow.
Only the final blow. Makav Patash is only the final blow. Binyan could be also anything along the way. Okay,
You said
good.
that everyone along the way also pick up the sword, even if it's bent.
Well, if it finalizes some aspect of it, like we said, tsor miktsas tsura is makav patash. If you're decorating a bowl and you finish decorating part of it, that's makav patash because that part is complete. But if it's something that's not complete at all, it's not makav patash. If you sharpen a sword, you could still sharpen it more, but now it's sharpened. That's makav patash. Now, sharpen it more, it could become makav patash again. It's not. You could do multiple makav patashes, but it does have to be something that is considered fine. By the way, speaking of makav patash, some say that you should not wind watches on Shabbos based on makav patash. And some, Yaakov Yosef says it's only forbidden if you do it to a watch that's stopped. Because as long as it's still working, you don't really see any change in the keli by winding it. So he's only machmer if it actually stopped working and then you wind it. Certainly, he says if it's still working, you're allowed to wear a self-winding watch because it's not nicker and so on. And then I also saw some people. I think the Shmer Shabbos actually says it, that even the machmirim not to wind a watch. Does anybody even have watches that wind?
Yeah,
Not really.
My grandmother.
So he got you a watch
The one that it moves.
self winds.
That's
Oh, okay, but not actual winds. The winding one you actually have to wind. I don't know if they can make those anymore. I don't know if they make those anymore. Next, what were you saying? Yossi?
I said a few things. I said my grandmother does
Okay.
have one. My father has one from his grandfather, I think, and I also mentioned if something's connected to the ground.
Yes, connect to the ground. The
With
binyan is
building.
much more strict. That's correct. So let me get back to that. But since some people still have winding watches, I will mention what I believe the Shmir Shabbos says, that even those that are machmer not to wind a watch, you could be mekel on Yom Tov Sheni. Whatever, just something interesting. Yeah, so in terms of binyan bekarka, yes, that is something worth mentioning. So let's talk about that. Difference between binyan bekarka and binyan bekalim. Anybody?
What about resetting the time on a watch? Could you do that if the watch wouldn't stop?
I saw different opinions about that too. If the time is wrong, the watch is still working, but the time is wrong. This is all not an electric watch, obviously. Electric you can't change because you're changing the electrical impulses or whatever. We're talking about watch?
No.
Oh, yeah, I'll get back to that in a minute. But changing the time, I saw some say is a problem because you're fixing it. And some say it's not a problem. It's working. It's just the wrong time. It's not. It's wrong for you. It might be right for somebody else, in a different country. Maybe it's the right time. I hear you. Okay. I've seen both opinions. I'm not sure. I hear. Okay. Binyan bekalim and binyan bekarka. What about stira? Oh yeah, actually I was waiting for somebody to say that. Stira applies to binyan, it does not apply to makav patash. If you reverse the effects of binyan, that's called stira. If you reverse the effects of makav patash, which if it's not a binyan kind of makav patash, just makav patash, that's not stira because there is no opposite of makav patash. Very good. Binyan bekarka versus binyan bekalim. What were you saying? There's no binyan b'kelim. When we say there's no binyan b'kelim, what do we mean? Like flat out, there's no binyan b'kelim? At all? Not possible to have binyan b'kelim? If it's big enough, then it's not going to be considered a keli. That's correct. If it's 3 by 1 by 1 amos, it's going to be considered b'chubal karka. But it's also about a binyan garua, machloikis rishonim, between Rashi on one side and Tosfos on the other, and many others on each of the sides. Whether we say binyan b'kelim or not, according to Rashi, we don't say it at all, no matter how strong the keli is. But according to Tosfos, it's only in binyan b'kelim if it's a binyan garua, if it's an inferior type of building. Whereas if it's something strong, like with hinges, like with nails, like anything that needs a maaseh uman, like a professional, or a gvura, special strength to put it together, then it's going to be binyan according to Tosfos. So that's why we said when it comes to putting hinges back.
Less than 1 by 1 by 3?
Yeah. According to Tosfos, no matter the size. If it's a strong binyan, it's going to be binyan.
Bye-bye.
Yes. No, if it's a binyan gomer, it will be binyan even by kelim. Binyan garua does not exist by kelim. Binyan gomer does.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, if it's a binyan gomer and you destroy that binyan gomer, that's going to be steer, absolutely. Which is the main halacha. That's the Mechaber Paskins, the Ramah, the Alter Rebbe, but not the Vilna Gaon, and not the Bavad Yosef. They go according to Rashi, based on many Rishonim. So I'm saying, but the I don't know if we could say mainstream, but the most of the poskim do Paskin like Tosfos. I'm sorry? What were you saying, Daniel?
Yes, it's the same thing with the window when you take it out.
Oh, it's Yoram. I don't know what's with your microphone, but I can barely hear you. Last night also not.
Okay, it's the same thing with the window. You remove it and you put it back.
I'm going to put my volume to 100% and then I'll try to hear you.
It's the same.
One more time.
It's the same with the window. You remove the window and you put it back.
Oh, so the window is karka. Window is karka, and that's much more strict. To put a window back into the pane, we said is binyan d'oraisa. To take it out could be d'oraisa, could be d'rabbanan. What does that depend on? Taking out a window pane. Maybe it's an issa d'oraisa, maybe it's an issa d'rabbanan. Not the hinge, just the pane. We spoke about the.
Take it out a lot. It's used to be taken out things.
No. Oh, if it's made to take out it, if it's made to take in and out, and it has like there's something on it that indicates it's made to take in and out, that it would be mutter. But we didn't learn that. But that's the whole first half of Shin Gimel is about that. It's about doors and hinges and windows that come out completely. But if they're made for that, and there's something that indicates that they're made to put in and out, then it's not considered binyan. But that's another point. But I'm talking about when it's not made to take in and out, but people do when it's too hot, just to get some air, they'll take out the window panes. That's what at least they used to do. So, yeah.
Depending on how it's fastened.
No. By karka, we're much more strict. So even if it's not tight, it's going to be a problem. Sorry? Yeah, but even with a goy, we said it depends on something. No, that's to make it possible to put back. If it's made for that and there's a string, that's the
last piece in Shabbos.
Okay, so here's what it is. There's a machlokes if stira has to be almanas livnois better or not. When you take out the window pane, you're planning to put it back. So that is stira almanas livnois. In general, stira is only chayiv if it's almanas livnois. If you break something down and you're planning to rebuild, that's malacha. If you break something down and you're not planning to rebuild, that's mekalkel. That's ruining, right? Like they implode all these old buildings and then they build stuff on the site. Why do they implode them? To make nicer stuff? make a lot of money per square foot. So that's for sure chayiv. It's still amanas livnois b'mkoimei in a better way. Oh, here it's not better. So if it's amanas livnois, but it's not better, that's machlokes. So if you say it's d'oraisa, you can't even ask a goy. If you say it's d'rabbanan, you can ask a goy. Because shvus to shvus is mutter through a goy in 3 circumstances. What are the 3 circumstances? You can have a goy do an issa d'rabbanan for you if it's one of 3 circumstances. Probably. Probably, but that would go under the general rubric of Shas Achak. That's also Makkah Mitzvah.
We don't have to. It doesn't have to be for his benefit, does it? If it's just
No.
no.
Nothing to do with his benefit, and you don't have to hint it. You could say it. You could say it outright. Psik Reisha is mutter even if it's a deraisa. And even if it's not a Shas Achak.
What are you asking? Only if it's only if it's
Shvus to shvus, right? Where he's not doing it in a way of psik reisha, he's actually doing it, but it's only d'rabbanan. So that we said for tzara gadol, which you could put that into shas adchak, kavod abris, tzara mitzvah, and hefsed beruba. That's what it is. Maybe that's tzara gadol. Maybe. I don't know. Oh yeah, something else. Sorry. I have to mention something going back to what I was saying before about the bottle caps. Just an interesting thing that I came across in the Minchas Yitzchak. He says, at the end of the day, even if we give you all the heterim in the world, open it before Shabbos. Why? I give you a heter. What's the problem? Rely on the heter. No. Because he says that one of the cases that it talks about opening, it says shover adam asachavis mipnei ha'orchim. Remember that language? Well, one of the cases we had that language. You can break it open for the guests. So there's different mefarshim why the guest. What does guests have to do with anything? So the Rashal says only for the orchim. You can't open it for yourself. Oh, that's mutter. And if you mamish would not have anything else to eat or to drink, okay, that's also shas adchak. But if you have other stuff, you shouldn't do it. Now, he points out that most of the mefarshim don't learn that pshat in the Gemara. Okay, but based on Rashal, it's better always, even if you have a heter to open, always better to open before Shabbos. I thought that was interesting. Okay, coming back. Window panes. Okay. Okay, now of course, unscrewing the regular battle caps, nothing to do with the rings or anything, is not building. Why not? Or is not destroying, and then putting them back is not building. Why not? Bottle caps. Because you're basically using it. That's the principle. If it's made to open and close, it's called usage. It's not called building or destroying. Yes?
The window. There's no way, there's nothing else like you will be allowed to remove it back and forth because you'll be like derech shimush.
Not derech shimush. Windows not made.
People here, they want to, they're passing stuff from side to the yard. So it's opening and closing it, opening.
If a window is made to open and close all the time, not just when it's hot and you need extra air, but it's made to open and close all the time. I'm saying to take out, right? To take out. So then you still need to have some way that it's clear that it's meant for that. It has to look different. I mean, that's the whole beginning of Siman.
During the week, the same way.
It does make a difference. In the whole first half of Shin Yud Gimel, it talks about doors and like windows that you want to completely remove and put back There has to be something that shows that that's where it belongs. You understand? You have to look it up. Shin Yud Gimel, the first half is about that. So we didn't do it because we don't usually have such things. But if you want to know, that's where it is. Okay, so we also
We don't usually have what things?
window panes that you take completely out and put back.
Oh.
And doors that you take out and put back. But if you do have them, it's worth learning the beginning of 313 to know what the...
What were the three cases where you could ask a guy to do an Issa D'Rabbanan?
Great need, mitzvah, or great financial loss.
Please repeat one more time.
Great need, mitzvah, or great financial loss for D'Rabbanan. D'Rabbanan, yeah. I think that's based on the Rambam. Not all Rishonim agree with that, but that's the Machaber quotes that Rambam. I think the Rambam says it Makam Mitzvah, and I think the Magen Avraham extends it to Tzolach Vadal and Hefsed Merubah. I'm not mistaken, but that's in Shin Zayin. Okay, so
one other question. Sorry.
Yeah.
And number 2 at the top of the review sheet for Siman 313, it says some say that the vessel cannot be moved when it is full. Then it is like building. What was that case? What's the case behind that?
Oh, that's that. Well, I should have explained what I meant there. To give credit where credit is due, and also to remove some of the responsibility from myself, I must say that this sheet was written mostly by one of the students of the last class, David Scherer. So Roberto, you know Roberto. So he was a very diligent student, and he took copious notes, and then he would send them to me, and I would look them over and send them out. So I must say that I didn't write this all. I went over it, but I didn't write it all. So had I written it, I would have added in what it means is that it cannot be moved because it's too heavy, i.e. it's bigger than 3 by 1 by 1 amas. That's what he's talking about. You understand? If it's that volume, so because when it's full, it can't be moved, therefore it's considered connected to the ground, even if it's not full, because it's not made to move all the time.
Okay, right. I remember.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Sometimes there's this small game of Toyota.
Yeah.
It's big enough to consider as a beam, and the moving it for the sector for granted.
Is it something that's moved from time to time or never?
Shabbos.
If it's moved every Shabbos, it's no problem. If it's moved every Shabbos, no problem. I'll tell you why. The fact that it's very heavy just means that it's like karka in terms of binyan. It doesn't mean it's like karka in terms of muktzah. You understand? Something can have the din of karka and it's not muktzah. The door, for example, that has a din of karka. You let open and close the door. Understand? It's karka as far as the rules of binyan because it's connected to the ground. The toilet seat would be the same. You know what I'm saying? All those things have a din of karka, but they're not muktzah. So the fact that it has a din of karka doesn't mean it's muktzah. Now, if it's a piece of furniture that you never move, then there's another shayla. There is a concept in muktzah of kviyas makam. Something that has a kviyas makam that's never moved. It could be that is muktzah. So that's something else.
Is a car muktzah?
Car is a car muktzah.
To lean on it or to drive it?
To drive on it, it's more than muktzah. You're allowed to touch muktzah and you're allowed to lean on muktzah because that's kalach hayad. That's moving it with your body. The shaila would be, can you push a car with your hands? Because again, sitting on the car is not direct movement. Can you push a car with your hands?
Why would you be able to?
Why would you want to?
Why would you be able to?
Why would you be able to? Well, that's what he's asking. Is a car muktzah?
Later. Oh, so.
Well, a car is made of an engine, which obviously is muktzah. No, but it also has the component of the cabin or whatever it's called, where you actually sit. That's I don't know what's called a keli, but it's malachte lehet or whatever it is. It's not a forbidden use. Sitting is not a forbidden use. I mean, people who live in their car. I mean, there are people who live in their car, and they use it on Shabbos. I mean, they go in and out. They don't drive it.
A caravan or a camper van wouldn't be muktzah.
Opening up the doors.
Maybe if nothing's on, then we looked it up.
People park their campers.
Exactly.
Next to shoal.
Exactly. The oil. Yeah. I don't know. That's not simple. Not simple. I don't know. Anyway, sitting on it is no problem anyway. Okay. So if you have a pair of glasses and the screw comes out, what do? Pair of glasses, the screw connecting the, what's that called? Whatever that's called. The arm, thank you very much, came out.
The arm.
Can you put it in loosely? Can you put it in with a paper clip? Can you use it without it?
No. No.
No. Nothing?
No.
No heter?
No.
Muktzah?
If you lost, Rabbi.
You can use the glasses?
Rabbi.
Not the arm?
Rabbi, if you lost the arm, it's okay.
Shlomo, what do you say?
If you lost the arm, it's okay.
He says it's only mutter if you lost the arm. If you still have the arm, there's a gzeira that you might put it back. We said that about a bench that one of the legs broke, not broke, but came out, and you could stick it back. You can't use it on Shabbos because you might stick it back unless you use it once during the week like that. So then you showed that you're not running to put it back. So the same thing, if it broke before Shabbos and you use it even once without that, then it's mutter. But if it broke and you never used it before, I don't think it's mutter. Based on what we said. That's what I'm saying. I don't think you can use it. Not even without the arm.
So it was on you.
Sorry?
But you just did.
But now
Using it, and
you were using it and now it's broken.
So if it's still on you and it's broken, come on. It's only if you knew it broken, you don't put it on.
You don't put it on. How did it break? It broke on you and it's still on you? Oh, okay.
You know.
You lose the temple, then you'll have a problem.
Yeah.
It happened last Shabbos.
Well, it's kind of like that the door to the closet, which has the two pegs or something like that. So it's like if the bottom one comes out, you can kick it back in, but if the top one, it's like kind of like the top peg.
This is definitely a problem to put back in because putting it back in would be a binyan because it would be tight and everything.
Yeah.
The question is, can you use it without putting it back? What do you say?
I asked you once if the legs come out, you're not to push it back in. It's probably not a problem.
Well, you could use a closet if the door came off. I mean,
the arm can come out. So what's?
Yeah, but is there a way with a lens? There is no screw, so there's no gzeira. What could you do?
You're fixing it right now.
What about a lens like this that has screws?
If it has a screw, it's a problem.
Without screw,
If the screw comes out,
you push it back in.
I'm saying one that doesn't have a screw, so there's no gzeira that you might use a screw because there is no screw. And it's a simple thing to put back in. It's not a hard thing, so it's not a ma'aseh umah. But something that has a screw, and the screw is out, and you're using it without putting the screw in, there's a gzeira it would seem, based on what we're learning, that you might screw it in.
So, Rabbi,
Consider regardless, screw or not screw, don't consider as mitaken.
Not true. If you use it with a screw, it is tikkun. So that's why you shouldn't do it without a screw, because you may forget and do it with a screw.
The problem with tight.
Okay. Anything for dinner?
Yeah, but there's a gzeira that you might do it tight.
Huh?
Even loose, it says clearly. You might do it.
Okay.
Daniel, put yourself on mute, please, if you don't
I
mind.
can understand if it's reading glasses, that you can live without them.
Yeah.
If it's somebody who needs them for seeing, this could be a dangerous thing. They can't wear his glasses. He could be falling over things.
No, so find a matter.
Ask a guy.
To do what?
It's zero.
Ask a guy to do it with the paperclip or something, with a rubber band, or with or loosely, not tight. So it's only a bun. Okay. Now we're talking.
There's glasses without one arm.
Right.
They're not common, but
Right, but they're made that
or
way.
whatever. They're made that way. So
They're made that way.
It is possible. If
Yeah.
someone would use it.
Yeah, even if it needs to, but if you used it once, we said, with one, then it's okay.
Well, if you know this, it happens before
Yeah,
Shabbos,
Shabbos.
so put them on quick. So
Absolutely.
Put on one quick.
Absolutely. Or you could lose the screw. That's another thing you can do. You can lose the screw because we said it's only if there's a possibility that you can fix it. If you're not able to fix it, then it's okay.
Didn't we say something about screws in general?
So you might forget that it's muktzah. If you might forget that it's forbidden to put back, you will forget that it's muktzah. What do you say, Yossi?
Didn't we say something about screws in general?
What about them?
That we can't use screws as a general rule.
You can't use screws as a general rule, correct, to put things together, because that's a tight way of putting things together. Yes. That would be an example of a tight kind of binyan, a binyan gummer that Tosfos would not allow. That's correct.
We said that about the goblets.
Right. And the hinges that are, held in place with screws.
Yeah.
Okay, so what about, we spoke about binyan gummer and not a binyan gummer. Achlekes Rashi Tosfos. So according to Tosfos, there is no way to break open a box. This is an example we gave. There's no way to break open a box that you lost the key of. Talking about a box that's put together properly, 4 walls, lock, hinges. No way. Break the lock, you're breaking a binyan gummer. Break the hinges, you're breaking a binyan gummer. Just chop the side off, binyan gummer. However, it's part of why it's separate. It's part of it. It's connected.
Still, after without a lock, still going to have the box.
It's part of the box. What do you mean? It's part of the box. It's connected.
Isn't the lock in our time? It's separate.
No, not the padlock. Not the padlock. Talking about that? No, that's a binyan on its own. And it better be a strong one, otherwise you need another one. That's its own binyan. I'm talking about a lock that's, like a chest that has a lock built into it. If it's a separate lock, that's a separate binyan. That's a totally separate thing. Anyway, so the Machaber says you're allowed to ask a goy to break open such a box. What is that based on? Sorry. What is that based on?
Because we have one opinion that allows you to.
Thank you. That's correct. As Rashi says, it's allowed. Ein binyan b'kelim, ein stir b'kelim, and therefore he is allowed for a Jew to do it. So therefore you can ask a goy to do something that a Jew is allowed to do l'chaftzila. Okay, so let me ask you something else. Correct, but you can rely on Rashi to ask a goy. Mechaber himself says you can rely on Rashi to ask a goy. So, what if?
So basically, by saying it, is agree with the Rashi opinion also.
It's good enough for a guy. We shouldn't say such words about Rashi's opinion. Rashi's opinion is tremendous and it's great, but even though he doesn't pass like it, he allows you to use it to have a guy do it for you in that way, because it's one step down. It's a mir l'nachri, it's only rabbanon. Okay, so what about?
But they didn't say like something that you're not allowed to do. Why should you tell a guy to do it?
Because the Rashi says you're allowed to.
But he's not going according to Rashi, basically.
I'll rely on Rashi to ask the guy. We had this in the past. Something that some poskim are matal lachatchila, even if we don't pass like them, we can rely on them lagab emir l'nachri. General rule, yes. General rule, it's a good rule to know. And like I've said many times, Rav Deitch says that's why you have to know all the opinions on Hilchos Shabbos. It's not enough to know the halacha, you have to know all the opinions, because you can rely on the opinions maybe in a case of Mir L'Nachri. Okay, so coming back to our situation, are you allowed to ask somebody who's makel to open bottles for you, to open the bottle for you, or the can, or the jar, or the who knows what? I don't know if we discussed this, but I'm throwing it out there.
I'm going to guess that you can.
Well, that's usher in accordance to what we're saying.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. What do you say, Essie?
I was going to guess that you can.
No. Rabbi Ribiat in his 39 Malachas book says, and I've seen this in other places also, that if you actually hold its usher based on your take of halacha, whether it's Chabad, whatever it is that you follow a certain shita and halacha that holds that it's usher, actually usher, then you can't ask somebody else to do it.
And if someone else did it, you'll enjoy from it?
He says you still gotta enjoy from it. I'm guessing because it's not a hana from the guf hamalacha. You know what I'm saying? Because you're getting the contents. You're not using the keli per se. You're eating the contents. I'm gathering that's the reason. But his point is, if you don't do it as a chumrah, so then you can ask somebody else to do it. But if you don't do it as a din, if you hold that's the din, you can't ask. That seems to be the general rule. All right. Plunging a toilet? No, is that it? Simple? No?
If it's going a little bit, then
No, plunging the toilet.
Plunging the toilet.
So yeah, it depends on whether it's fully blocked or partially blocked. If it's still going, then it's not so much of a problem.
That was one of the mitigating factors. Yeah. It's different opinions basically, but there's more room to be lenient if it's somewhat, if it's not so blocked.
draining a little bit.
Exactly.
Say you wait until all the water goes down.
Who said that? Somebody said that?
Yeah, I think Jordan said.
No, Yom said that at no point is it completely, it's always a little bit seeping out into the pipes.
Right.
It's not completely plunged, because if you see it 2 hours later, it will be depleted.
Right. So yeah, that's usually something you see. So Lamaisa, if you have other options, it's probably better to be strict because it's not a clear heter. But if it's covered abrius and you need it and so on, there is room to be makel.
In a way, I think even you'll have to tell a boy to call a plumber for like 3 days of rental and it's happening. Because all the wheels.
That sounds more complicated. It's a pay that big plumber.
No, you can pay the plumber after.
If the guy is doing Isser Dairaisa, which presumably, if you're calling a professional, he's doing a professional job. And that's Isser Dairaisa. I mean, anything connected to the ground can be Isser Dairaisa, even if it's not professional. But certainly if it's professional, it's Isser Dairaisa. So the heter would be what?
It's not the fault that everybody do that today.
No. No. Snake the toes and Isser
I think it
Dairaisa.
was based on whatever.
Snake the toes and Isser Dairaisa. In general, the ground doesn't have to be a Maaseh. But when it comes to something that's very easy to fix, maybe it's not considered broken in the first place. You understand? But if you have to use a snake, even though it's not a Maaseh, it is broken. You know what I'm saying? And because it's connected to the ground, even not a Maaseh is considered binyan. But you're saying, what's the heter? Kavod abrius? I mean, the truth is, we do have in some cases the Chachamim allow a straight Issad Rabbanan, or matter a straight Issad Rabbanan for Kavod abrius. We do have that. We mentioned that last time, like muktzah to wipe, with stones, and like maybe cutting toilet paper with your teeth. So those are straight out Rabbanans that they're matter. So maybe. But again, that would depend on the situation. Do you have another toilet? Do you not? Could be this. I mean, it's a situational thing. It's not like a general heter. It could be that it's not. Okay. So Psik Reisha Deloy Nichale Bidirabanan. Give me some translation, gentlemen, and tell me what the halacha is, please. What's the Psik Reisha Deloy Nichale, first of all?
It's going to happen, but you don't care about the result.
Exactly. An unintended definite consequence that you don't care about the result. Mutter or asr if it's a rabbinic malacha, that is the unintended consequence.
Mutter.
I say it so simple. Machlokes. Actually, no. Did we say that some say Psik Reisha b'derabanan is what we discussed. I don't know if we discussed Psik Reisha b'derabanan. Psik Reisha b'derabanan is a machlokes. The Trumas Hadeshen says mutter, the Magen Avram says aser.
I thought we said that if you want it to happen, then it's.
We didn't discuss that.
Oh,
sorry.
okay.
One more time. What? Sorry. Yossi, what'd you say?
I thought we said that if it makes a difference whether you care about it or you don't care about it.
We did discuss a little bit.
And what did we say?
That if you care about it, it's a problem. If you don't care about it, it's not. It's less of a problem.
I know it's less, but did we say it's mutter lekule alma, or
I don't
or was
recall.
it?
I don't fully recall that.
I have in my head that if that's a situation lo nichale, but rabbanan that it is mutter. That's what I have in my head, but I don't. What? Where do you get that from? So what? What did he say? Really?
No.
To the best of my knowledge, the concept of Psik Nichale is only in the Rishonim. Psik Reisha is in the Gemara. Psik Nichale, I think, is in Tosfos, in the Aruch. I don't think the Gemara explicitly discusses Psik Nichale. Certainly not Psik Nichale with Rabbanan. That's definitely a later discussion. How did we define Korea according to Alter? But we had a chiddush about that. Who remembers? Korea, according to Alter, is only if you break something that was put together. Not exactly. Not if it's one piece. Like leather is not Korea. Breaking leather is not Korea. It could be other issues, maybe making a keli, maybe makabel patish, maybe machatach, maybe tikkun kli, all kinds of related issues. But it's not Korea, according to Alter. Korea is if it's like a baguette, which is fibers, many fibers put together, breaking that apart. which actually leads me to talk about something that I never spoke about and has to be spoken about. And it's good that I'm remembering this now. We never discussed how to open like potato chip bags on Shabbos. Let's say that we accept that a potato chip bag is a binyan garua. Even if you don't accept that all throwaway kalim are, but a potato chip bag is a very not a strong keli. So it's a binyan garua. You can pull it. The regular potato chip bag. You can open. Thank you very much. You can open it right here, where it's made to open, right there, or you can cut it open on the side. Yeah, there are those.
If it's blue, it's going to be a silver license. If it's just only by heat, you're allowed to open over there. If you don't know, it's better open it in a different place where there's no glue together.
I never heard that difference about glue.
Yoram is trying to say something, by the way.
Yoram needs to get a new microphone. Go ahead, Yoram.
You take a scissor and you cut it.
Oh?
Yossi, can you repeat, please?
No, I heard you.
You take a scissor and you cut it.
So here's the thing. According to the Alter Rebbe, where it's two things connected is a shayla of Korea. Besides the issue of Asiyas Pesach, that's a separate issue. But opening this up here could be a Korea issue. Whereas if you rip it on the side, there's no Korea. I want the people there also to see. If you rip it on the side, make sure not to cut the letters, by the way, right? So then there's no Korea issue. At the same time, you shouldn't make a Pesach Noah. Even a binyan garua shouldn't make a perfect opening. Anyway, if it's on the side, it's not going to be a perfect opening. So that's the better way. Now, for your information, there are matirim to even open it up where it's glued. I'll tell you what the basis for that heter is. The basis for that heter is
something is not even glue, it's just pressed together, so you're not.
Zelo Shamati. I mean, I heard what you said, but I don't know. I mean, when a garment is sewn together, there's no glue, but it's sewn together, so it's a shayla of Korea. I don't know if it has to be glue. I don't know.
This is what usually opens on the side. Or usually, my kids will be opening before Shabbos, put in a zip bag and take the shoe.
Okay, but here's the Svar Lahater. The Svar Lahater says that Korea of a tefira that was temporary is mutter. Just like matir of a kesher that was temporary is mutter. You're allowed to undo a temporary knot. So there are some that say you're allowed to rip a temporary sewing.
Yes. And not. If it's more than 24 hours, it's not temporary.
Oh, so what about this? This is more than 24 hours. This packaging was made on, I don't know when. But anyway, many days ago. So here's what they say. What they say is that when they seal it in the factory, they
have the intention that you'll open it?
They would love for you to open it within 24 hours. They wish that it would reach the consumer in 24 hours. Nebuch, they can't because they have to ship it and it has to sit on the shelves. And then by the time you buy it, by the time you open it, it could be 6 months later. No, this is, some people actually say it. I'm 100% serious. And I'll tell you cases that people actually rely on this opinion. I'm not saying everybody, but plenty of people use diapers on Shabbos. Now the big machmirim, they open up the diaper before Shabbos. The tabs on the back, there's like glue. Depends. The Huggies now, they have like the Velcro. But the Pampers, they still have like a little glue thing in the back. You're opening it now for the first time. What's the heter? So they use that heter. And the same thing when you open a Band-Aid. The Band-Aid has a little tab that's protecting it. You're opening it out for the first time. That's the heter. Okay, Bended, you can't really prepare because you don't expect to need it. But I'm saying when you need it, people rely on that heter. But nevertheless, here, where it's not urgent, you can just cut it on the side and get out of that shiloh.
How problematic is the writing, really? I understood that if you really don't care about it at all, it's not so problematic.
Rabbi Vadia says that if it's to get the food, it's mutter. But I don't think it has to do with not caring about it, because not caring about it is still...
So the reason I say that is because I understand that it is problematic if you have a birthday cake that has writing on it, and because you actually, the writing is significant to you, you shouldn't cut through the writing on a birthday cake.
I mean, there's definitely issues with cutting through the writing of the birthday cake, but who says it's only because it's significant to you? And what if it's not significant to you? What if it's somebody else's birthday cake and you couldn't care less about it? I'm just saying, where do you get that it's only if it's significant to you?
Well, but I'm assuming that I've heard this because, like we've said, if we, it's a psik ratio, that if I open it, it's going to. It's not
a psik ratio. Psik ratio is when you're doing something else, and by the way, you're doing that. Here, when you're
like if I'm trying to open a packet, then it's a psik ratio that if I open the, I intend to open the packet.
That's not correct. That's not called a psik ratio. That is not called a psik ratio.
Okay.
I'll tell you why. Because that is one action that is actually doing two things. It's opening a packet, and it's also cutting through the letters. That's not, it's a simultaneous malach. You understand? It's not like I'm opening the door and at the same time the light is going off. You understand? That's when it's two different results. The door and the light. It's two different.
I understand. I'm doing two things at once.
Exactly. You're doing two things at once. I mean, the truth is it's not really our sugya here, so I don't want to say there is no such opinion, but I don't remember. I don't remember it. Okay, my friends, we're going to have to stop here and continue next week, B'li Neder, with the malacha of Oyel. It's actually not a separate malacha, it's actually a tulda of binyan. But nevertheless, we'll start learning about Oyel next week, Mitzvah Hashem. Thank you all for your patience, and I hope you find the review sheet helpful.
Thank you very much. So next week, it's Monday and Tuesday?
Monday and Tuesday. The following week, definitely not Monday, according to the plan. And I have to let you know about the Tuesday.
Next Monday?
Next Monday, yeah, Mitzvah Hashem.
No class.
No, yes, class.
No, next Monday and Tuesday.
The following Monday, which is Hanukkah, no class.
Thank you.
My pleasure. All the best.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have 5